and boom goes the dynamite.
Welcome back to the only Monday through Friday live lacrosse talk show. This is the Daily Dive. I'm your host, Michael Karvelis. To everyone on the West Coast, good morning, and to everyone on the East Coast, good afternoon. It's time for lunch and lacrosse talk. On today's show, our top story will be PLL playoffs begin today. Have you filled out your Daily Dive brackets? And also, what are the best games this weekend? I'll pick 2 of the 4. Our big guest by Fanatics, our first will be Andy Towers, the coach of the Chaos in the PLL. We know about the big PLL news of location-based teams coming next year. We'll also get his thoughts on the NLL Cup. And we have another guest as well. Panther City's Will Malcom is scheduled to join the show. And I cannot wait to get his thoughts on life around Fort Worth, Texas in Calgary. It's going to be great. And also, we'll give our best bets for the show, for this week's playoffs. Without further ado, let's get into our top story. The NLL playoffs have begun, and boy, oh boy, it's going to be crazy. So, this week we've got Rochester, Buffalo, Halifax, Toronto. We've got Colorado, San Diego, Panther City, Calgary. 4 intriguing matchups. In fact, Rochester, Buffalo. Most of these games are 1.5 point spreads, by the way. Rochester actually has the shortest odds, which is very interesting. In terms of like the least value you can put on an underdog, Rochester would be right there at the top, which is very interesting to me, considering this game's in Buffalo. I guess they think Ron Hartley can lock it down. So Buffalo's favored by 1.5. Every game is set at 22.5 goals this weekend. But that Rochester plus 135 is a very interesting number, considering you've got Halifax Thunderbirds who are plus 140. Now, Halifax, to me, was way hotter coming into the playoffs than the Rochester Nighthawks were. This is a very interesting thing. Colorado Mammoth, they're plus 165, and they played the Seals pretty tough. In this game in San Diego, Seals, of course, favored by 2.5 goals. And Panther City, plus 140, along right there with Halifax. So they're basically telling you Calgary has as much chance to beat Panther City as Toronto does to beat Halifax. That's a lot of respect to Panther City and a lot of interest around Halifax and Toronto. But again, Rochester plus 135, it really is, it's interesting to me. I know we've had Hutton Jackson on before who's trying to teach me about the betting of all this. I still don't got it, although he's been great. And you have to wonder, what does Vegas know? Again, 135 to 140, it's like probably a penny, depending on how much you bet. But it's just weird how Rochester has the best underdog chance, if you will. Just saying. Now, granted, in this game, I do believe the Bandits will win 13-10. I think Rochester can keep it close. But that plus 135 is, you got to wonder, like, are they trying to get some free money here for themselves? Are they trying to fool the public? It's a lot of interesting plays right here. Halifax and Toronto, I've actually got the Rock to win 12-8. I think the Rock's defense is going to be on display in these playoffs. I think the Rock are kicked off. I think Rock, all of the team under the Bandits last year, lost in the finals, and they're getting healthy again now. But Rock have been so consistent all season long. In a single game elimination, I like to think the Rock can hold a potent Thunderbirds team down, unlike a rookie goaltender, no offense, and Brett Dobson could do against Georgia. But you're going from Georgia up to Toronto, from rookie to amazing goaltender. Not that Brett Dobson has not been amazing, but when Georgia Swarm needed him, he was not able to step up as much. I'm telling you, Daily Dive curse, that's all I know. But that being said, it is interesting. As for the Colorado Mammoth and the San Diego Seals, like I said, I do believe this is my upset right here. This game right here. The Seals, of course, favored by 2.5. Total 22.5. Like I said, Colorado, biggest dog of the weekend at plus 165. And wouldn't you know, I'm the idiot that's taking them. I would use my Daily Dive Bracket Challenge. And, of course, I'm not going to give the $50 Fanatics gift card. It'll be one of you guys, but I like to compete with the gang here, right? This is an interesting one as well. I do believe the Seals are going to put up a fight. But I would like to think that Colorado wins it 10-9. Because you have to think, I think the Seals made a mistake by playing Colorado full strength. They already knew that the Bandits had locked up the number 1 seed. Because there was, like I said, the scheduling of this was stupid. The Bandits played first, locked up the league's number 1 seed, and the Seals didn't have to do anything. They were already number 1 in the West. So what are you trying to improve? Like, even if the Bandits lose in the first round, you still have home advantage. Like, what are you doing here? That blew my mind. So you're letting this Colorado team hang around. The defending champions, are you that confident? Because I would not be. Again, a Seals team that's been very inconsistent. I know they've won a bunch of games, but that's by default if I'm thinking about it. I'm sorry. You let this Colorado team hang around. The extinct have become non-extinct because you let them creep up. You know that hand coming out of the grave? That's the Colorado Mammoth right now. And you really bent a hand down and picked them up instead of stomping on it when you have the chance. That's a great apocalyptic analogy I just made. I just want to give myself credit for that. But come on. Like, why let them stick around? That was absolute bogus in my opinion. As for Panther City and Calgary, I do have the Roughnecks winning, but this one is an interesting matchup as well because I know Panther City not happy. They have lost this Calgary team twice, 12-5 in Calgary, which is why I'm wondering why the Seals are favored by 2.5, but the Roughnecks are only favored by 1.5. Like, I would think it would be the other way around here. But they're giving some respect to the Fort Worth team traveling up there. I'm not mad at it. As Maggie Hale told us on our 2023 playoff preview that, you know, Panther City's got a lot of friends and family up there. Their players do, so why not put on a show for them? It'd definitely be an interesting thing. But again, I do believe Calgary wins this game. But in terms of the best games of the weekend, I think it's those 2 Western Conference games. I think it's Colorado and San Diego. I believe that's the one tonight. Yes, it is. And I think, so after Colorado beats San Diego, you're going to get to watch Calgary and Panther City. And I think Panther City and Calgary is going to be a bloodbath. Just like we saw Toronto with Buffalo, this is going to be a nasty game, man. If you're the Seals and you win against the Mammoth, you are very happy that Calgary's going to have to go through Panther City because it's not hard. I know they're going through Calgary tonight, but it's hard. It's hard going through the Panther City team. It's probably overachieving at this point. And Jonathan Donville's got to get going at some point, right? Real Malcom, who we have scheduled to have on the show. It's going to be crazy. But yeah, I can't wait. I cannot wait. The playoffs are tonight. And I would give you guys my best bets, but I'm still waiting. I'm making sure I milk this thing, but what are you watching tonight? Are you going to watch The Rock? Because I will see The Rock in the Thunderbirds of the first game. That, of course, is in the Eastern Conference. But hey, that's enough from me. When I come back, we're talking to a guest who hasn't been on in a minute. And ever since he's been on, there's been some big PLL news. Yes, I do give that league respect. And he'll also give us an NLL playoffs talk as well. Eddie Towers is our big guest by Fanatics. Coming up next on Daily Dive. Don't go anywhere. I know you won't. coach of the Chaos in the PLL, champion coach, by the way, and of course, owner of Lacrosse Draws. Welcome. Andy Towers is back on the show, and we thank you so much for coming.
Thanks so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to come speak with you guys.
Absolutely. And I'm telling you, since it's been a little bit, I know it's been a long season, but it's been a little bit since you've been on. I have to ask you first, how is Lacrosse Draws doing? Is there anything new or any updates you can tell us, especially since we last talked to you?
No, I appreciate you asking about it. We had a very, very successful fall and winter program. We had about 700 kids that we would see once a week for 17 weeks. And that program ends in the middle of February, a few weeks before they start their respective preseasons. And so right now, all of those kids are going through their spring, hopefully dominating for their respective teams and finding a lot of individual success as well as a lot of team success. And then the camp season starts up. I got 4 camps this summer. I run two in New Canaan, one for boys and one for girls. And then I run one with my fellow Chaos lacrosse coach, Jamie Hanford, up at Greaves Farms Academy in Westport, Connecticut. And then I run one with Andy Copeland, the coach of the world champion Water Dogs, who beat us in the final last year. We're good friends, and he works in the next town over in Greenwich. And so we run a camp there in the middle of July as well. And so those will be the next 4 events under Lacrosse Draws. And then my fall and winter program for 23 and 24 starts up again the first week in October. And then throughout the year, I will do private sessions, private small group sessions as well. So I've been doing a bunch of those on a week-to-week basis. But the next big events that we have is the camp season, and that's 4 camps in June and July. So thanks for asking.
I love that. And I love how you rattled that off. Because we were talking about that, and you rattled it off. It's so great how much you care about that, about growing the game, especially with those kids who, I mean, to be fair, they don't see a lot of lacrosse on TV. It's nice that you get them in there. And God, there's going to be future stars coming out of your program, I'm sure.
I hope so. It's fun to watch the kids in college that had been in the program through over the course of the last 8 years. And a lot of them are dominating on the Division I level, both women's and men's. And so it's come full circle that way. And down the road, it would be great to be able to eventually draft some of these kids to Chaos if they get to that level and we get in that position. So it is exciting. I appreciate all the good words. Thanks a ton.
Next Dave Smith, next Josh Byrne, here we come. I have to ask you, since you are the coach of the PLL, well, coach of the Chaos in the PLL, there's big news reported by Sportico, but if the location-based teams are true, and we get the announcement at the end of the year, and then next year we full swing, how important is this for the PLL and the game in general?
Well, I think it's really important. You know, I think that first and foremost, Mike and Paul Rabel have done just an incredible job of starting the league from scratch. And they are so forward thinking, and they do such a great job of scouting themselves and perpetually looking for ways to improve the product for the fans of the game. And so to be coaching in the league is really an honor, and it's humbling, and it's something we don't take for granted, and something that we're very, very excited about. You know, I think that this is the next logical step in terms of optics. You know, the tour-based model has been fantastic. Selfishly, you know, I've loved it. You get to go to a different city every week in the summer and play in front of a different group of passionate fans that, you know, maybe they're only able to come to one live event all summer, but hopefully that experience will inspire continuing to follow the league on television. They've done a phenomenal job of negotiating a long-term deal with ESPN and are able to bring lacrosse played at the highest level into millions of households across the globe. And so they deserve a ton of credit for that. And I think, honestly, when you got new fans that are excited about watching the PLL, you know, they're going to ask questions. And some of the questions that we get on the road, are, oh, you're the Chaos Lacrosse Club. What city, what state are you from? And to say, hey, you know, it's a tour-based model. You know, not everybody can get a hold of exactly what that means, unless, of course, they are a PGA golf fan, or they are, an auto racing fan or a NASCAR fan, and are aware of exactly what a tour-based model is and what it means when we say that. So I think that will alleviate some of those questions by the league, attaching cities, states, regions, however they decide to proceed in doing that. And it's appropriate next step in the evolution of Paul and Mike's vision to add the PLL to the big four of the NBA, Major League Baseball, NFL, and the NHL. And I think it's an appropriate goal. I think it's a responsible goal. And these guys are committed to seeing that vision to fruition.
As a lacrosse fan, I personally love it. I love that you gave your insight as well on that, showing us the forward thinking of a game that has to grow. And to be fair, people are ready for it to grow. It's time.
It is.
Yeah. So the NLL playoffs, the box lacrosse league, of course, they're starting today. Cannot wait for that. And I know a team that you obviously root for, the Bandits, but which first round game do you think is the most intriguing for you?
Well, I look at this and I think, honestly, the most intriguing series to me is definitely Colorado and San Diego, because Colorado's coming off a world championship last year. They broke the hearts of the Buffalo fans. And, you're looking at their opponent in the Seals. And I think that's a team that, has met and probably exceeded expectations that were very lofty coming into the season after such a great year last year. For them to lose in the Western Conference semifinals to, I think, the Mammoth, right. To play the Bandits in the finals, I think left them with a bitter taste in their mouth. And it seems like they've only improved on last year's performance in the regular season. And I think that, to get Colorado in the first round, to me, is the most compelling series to start by far. So that's the one that I'm looking at, where I'm like, wow, I really think that's a kind of a 50-50 bet there, simply because the Seals have been so good, but they're facing the world champions that seem to rise up and play their best lacrosse in the playoffs. And last year was certainly a testament to that when they won the championship.
So, and I want to ask you this, because I was wondering about this myself with the Seals, because the Bandits had clinched home field early last week. I was surprised the Seals didn't almost try to lose to the Mammoth, because now they're going to take these pesky defending champions again. What is your mindset with that? Like, would you have done something like that, knowing the Mammoth are coming right back next week?
I think you work so hard to get everybody focused on the importance of getting connected and in the importance of staying in the moment. And, so there is no other approach than to go out and win the game. That's your next game. And so while there could be perceived advantages to all of that sort of thing, I think that every coach would tell you that the games are a barometer of where you're at. The games are a barometer of how well connected you are. And even though we said a second ago that there could be some benefits to maybe losing that game, I think you risk bruising a chemistry that's a championship level chemistry if you do anything other than maintain focus on going out and putting forth your best performance and hopes that that's good enough to win the game. And I think that every coach would tell you the same thing in that respect.
I love that answer. And I hate to do this to you, but I'm hearing breaking news. I'm hearing rumors that Tom Schreiber is not playing for Toronto. And usually my sources are pretty good on those. If Toronto does not have Tom Schreiber against the Thunderbirds, how do you think that game goes now for the Rock against the Thunderbirds? I just got that on my phone.
I listen. Halifax has a phenomenal team. They could win the championship. Right. I think most of the teams that are in the playoffs can play at a level that would allow them to win the championship, and I don't think Halifax is any different there. With that said, I think the widely held consensus is that the Bandits and the Rock are on a collision course. And while Tommy Schreiber is the best American player in the league right now and one of the best players on the planet, indoors and outdoors,
right,
and will be sorely, sorely missed, the Rock have played at a very high level. And I think that for Halifax to knock them off, they're going to have their hands full. They're going to need Withers to control the faceoffs against TD. They're going to need to be able to bury their shots against Nick Rose. And while it will be a tougher task for Toronto to win without Tommy Schreiber, I still expect the Rock to get it out of that series in advance.
Hey, I love it. I love it too, because I'm kind of in the same way. I do love that answer, though. And one more thing I have to ask you. The NLL champion, the way you see it from a coaching perspective, knowing the guys that you do, who wins it if you had your money on it right now?
Buffalo Bandits.
That's what I think too.
I'm certainly biased because I've got a bunch of players on Chaos that play on that team, but I think they have the talent. I think they have the chemistry. They're getting healthy now with Josh Byrne back and Chris Cloutier back and Chase Frazier back. Dane Smith is the best player in the NLL for, the third season in a row or whatever it's been, maybe even longer than that. They got a proven winner in Hall of Fame coach John Tavares. And, I think the heartache of the last few seasons of not being able to get it done in the final, I think they're going to get past that. And I expect the Buffalo Bandits to win the NLL Cup and then hopefully come and help us win the PLL championship again this summer.
I mean, are we feeling Buffalo chaos? I know you can't give anything away, but that'd be cool, right?
Yeah, that would be cool. I think, certainly the Buffalo fans have established themselves as the best fans in the NLL, and to be able to place the Chaos Lacrosse Club in Buffalo, it would be an honor to represent the people in that city. They're super passionate about their sports, and they support the stars in all of the professional franchises in that city. And we would be very, very fortunate to be the Buffalo Chaos. No question about it.
Whoever the lacrosse stars align, thank you so much, and best of luck for the PLL this season. Have fun watching your guys in the NLL this playoffs, and also keep doing awesome things with lacrosse draws. I know that's awesome to hear about once again. Thank you so much, Andy.
I appreciate it. Best of luck to the Daily Dive. Continue to dominate. Thanks for all you do to spread the sport, both indoors and outdoors. Pleasure to be on. Hope to come on again. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. We'll have you on. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Andy Towers once again bringing the fire. That was awesome. And again, kids who are playing lacrosse is just the coolest thing to see. And the Fat Lacrosse Draws, you have a coach like Andy Towers, who obviously knows guys like Dane Smith, Josh Byrne, all those guys. And the fact that he can coach up these young guys is just so impressive. And like you said, drafting them would be even cooler. I love it. That news on Tom Schreiber, though, was very interesting to hear. Because that puts a hamper in things, I'd say. I would have to assume that Halifax would have an advantage there. However, we are also getting word that Austin Shanks, who has 52 points this season, 26 loose balls, is also doubtful for the Thunderbirds. Not sure if that neutralizes, but if Tom Schreiber's out, oh boy. And I do wonder if DraftKings, how soon they might recognize that. But yeah, if that's news we're getting, Tom Schreiber's out, interesting. But again, thanks so much for Andy Towers. We'll have much more on the other side of this. Still to come is Will Malcom, so don't go anywhere. We'll talk more playoffs after this. It's NLL. Playoffs are today. We'll be right back, everybody, on Daily Dive. All right, welcome back to Daily Dive here on this Friday, May 5th, 2023. Andy Towers, once again, love that such a big name in lacrosse can come on the show. Everybody that comes on the show is awesome, but to have such an accomplished man in the sport is incredible to see. And so I just want to let you guys know, once again, the rumors we're hearing are that Tom Schreiber is out for Toronto against the Thunderbirds tonight. Toronto, of course, favored by 1.5, total 22.5, and Halifax was plus 140 on that money line. So free dough, free bread. I'm kidding. It's not free. Andy Towers said he'd like to think the Rock can still win. But that being said, hey, that's tough. As we said, Austin Shanks is doubtful for Halifax. Not sure if that neutralizes anything, but now you know. As for the rest of the injury report here, let's get to that Bandits game, of course. Buffalo against Rochester. Buffalo is going to have Justin Robinson and Dylan Robinson both questionable. DeHoga Anico is once again questionable, and that's an interesting one to me because I thought DeHoga was healthy again. So that's an interesting thing right there. And again, Tom Schreiber is listed as questionable, but he might be ruled out according to our rumors here. Back to that Rochester and Buffalo game. For Rochester, you've got Corey Schott, who's out. Carter Schott, who's out. Corey Highfield is out. And Thomas Whitty is doubtful for that game. Halifax in Toronto. For Halifax, again, Austin Shanks is doubtful. That is confirmed on the NLL website on the injuries. And also for Toronto, again, Tom Schreiber, questionable, but we're hearing he's out. Jameson Dilks is out. Tyler Hendricks is out. Sheldon Burns is out. And Colorado, San Diego, remember, we heard about Brody Merrill, who will be back on the active roster for the Seals as they try to beat this pesky Mammoth team. For the Seals, Casey Jackson is questionable, and Oliver Bolsterley, Oliver Bolsterley is out. And as for Colorado, Ty Thompson is doubtful. Ryan Lee is questionable. Noah LeBar is out. Brett Draper is out. There's a huge names. But I think Brody Merrill coming back for San Diego, big deal for them. He did miss one game this season, so it's good to see that he's back. Again, DeHoga being questionable. And, of course, the rumor is that Tom Schreiber's out. Whew, buddy, there are some interesting playoff scenarios this weekend. How's your bracket, by the way? And I want to pump this up again because, remember, $50 Fanatics gift card. That's right, NLL merchandise, all kinds of sports merchandise is on the line if you have the best bracket. We have a whole point system on the pin tweet on Daily Dive Lax on social media. So if you're a first-time Daily Diver, dive into our Daily Dive Lax page. That was stupid and corny. And also we've got, again, vote your brackets, and I can't wait to see what you have to offer. And, of course, some free Daily Dive swag will probably be in your little goodie basket as well. And we got great shirts on Daily Dive store, so don't forget that as well. We're not done talking lacrosse. I want to talk more about the PLL location-based model. We'll do that next. Remember, playoffs are tonight. Are you watching? You better be. We'll be right back. Talk more about the PLL. Are you guys ready for the PLL draft, the college draft coming up? on May the 9th. What is that? That would be Tuesday. That's an interesting time for that draft, by the way. I don't know why they thought Tuesday would be a good time, and hey, that's on them. But interesting. I'm excited for all things lacrosse this year. I'm going to try to get to the PLL as, of course, the playoffs do eventually conclude. So that's going to be an interesting thing going forward. On PLL, of course, we talked to Amy Towers about the location-based model. And to be fair, Buffalo Chaos would be a thing. I mean, if you think about Buffalo Chaos, how many guys are in Buffalo? They're on that team already. I don't know if the PLL would do that simply because of the players, but. And as for the draft for the PLL, there are 4 rounds. Of course, round 1, you've got pick 1, the Atlas, then the Redwoods, and the Atlas have picks 1 and 3. That's wild. And I think that's a good thing. Because the Atlas, like I said, why not? Well, then the Texans just did that in the NFL. They picked C.J. Stroud. They picked Will Anderson Jr. So we'll see how that works out. Again, Tuesday, May 9th, 7 p.m. Eastern. Atlas have 2 of the first 3 picks. As for the Chaos, who's my favorite team, which is actually incredible considering I have one of their cups. I never got my shirt, but God forbid. Paul Rabel, you do your thing, man. You do your thing, bro. I did get the cup, though, and the cup is awesome. But the fact that we have Amy Towers on the show, they are picking 7th of the 8 teams in the draft. That'll be a fun thing. As for the Chaos draft going in, I haven't watched a bit of college lacrosse this year, but I do know that this team is already loaded. So it's not, if you get a guy going to this team, the Chaos, you're going to go with Dane Smith, Josh Byrne. How about some long area shooting? Some long range shooting. 2-point goals in the PLL is a big thing, and Mac O'Keefe led the team with 2. Not good enough. I feel like they can obviously get some nice things there. Face-off guy would be good considering CJ Costabile had 52% win rate. It's not going to cut it. You got guys like Jake Withers and Trevor Baptiste out there. You need more. It's more than just Dane Smith and Josh Byrne. You need way more than that. So that's going to be interesting. Again, I'm going to try to watch some PLL stuff. I really am. And don't forget, Will Malcom is coming on the show. By the way, I believe Will Malcom plays for the Archers. But it was nice to see, it was good to see that the Panther City did make the playoffs for Will Malcom, of course, who had a breakout season with 96 points. And again, I can't wait for this NLL playoffs. I'm speechless right now. Please vote your bracket. And again, Will Malcom is going to come on the show, and we're going to talk about him. How about the season for Will Malcom, by the way, who's absolutely incredible. 96 points, career high. 114 loose balls, career high. I kind of want to ask him about his penalty minutes, only getting 4 of those. I'm like, man, where's the fire, bro? I'm kidding. But Maggie Hale, who said that she just trusts that he gets the 100 points. Meaning we get 4 points or better for Will Malcom this weekend, and that's going to be fun. Can Jonathan Donville break his scoreless streak? I know he had a 3-game stretch there where John Don wasn't scoring much. And you got to think that's going to be an area of focus. But their also area of focus is winning. And John Don has 23 goals to 67 assists. So it's not like John Don is doing anything different. But he did have 2 goals in the last game. That was, of course, at home. But I thought it was interesting, as we kind of previewed this and teased this game before, it is interesting that Calgary, I mentioned, again, San Diego playing Colorado again, but Calgary playing Panther City, Maggie was right. Panther City had them good in the first half and then could not finish them off. That could be the lack of experience. But this could be another intriguing matchup again. I think the 2 Western Conference games are the best games of the weekend. We have to wait for this one until tomorrow, but I do believe that Panther City's got a real shot to win this game. Again, Vegas having it at plus 1.5 is not bad. Considering Colorado, the defending champions, are at plus 2.5 against their team, against their opponents. So this could be a big one. And I do believe that Panther City playing in front of your home fans and friends is a big deal. I'm excited for that. Nick Damoud, the unsung hero of this Panther City team, has a 79% save percentage. That's incredible. 78.9. Only giving up 10.31 goals a game. This team is locked in defensively, and they have been all season. In fact, you look at the standings of these teams. Goals against, Panther City gave up 193. That's good for top 4 in the NLL. Let's see here. They gave up 193. Of course, the best was Calgary at 167. Toronto was 164. Calgary was 167. 193 was San Diego and Panther City. Hey, not a bad deal. As for the road record for Panther City, they were 4-5. Calgary was 7-2 at home. But Panther City's no slouch on the road either. So 4-5, not a bad deal. Again, Panther City this season, their games, they went 10-8, of course, with wins over Las Vegas twice to start the season. On the road, Philadelphia and Vancouver. Beat Vancouver at home. Beat Colorado at home. Beat the Rush. Beat the Denver Dogs. Beat Albany. Beat Vancouver. Are they cupcake wins? Well, to answer that, we'll go with how did Panther City do in the games they lost? Lost by 3 to the Mammoth. Lost by 2 to the Rush. Lost by 2 to the Seals. By 2 the Mammoth. Lost by 1 to the Roughnecks. And that was last week. Which means 2 weeks ago. So it's not like Panther City is coming in this game like saying, oh, well, we're not good enough. They played some good teams pretty well. And depending on which version of this team you get, again, 2 weeks rest. Like Panther City has not played since April 21st. They had last week off. So I know Calgary's been home a little bit longer, obviously, but you think Panther City went home? Or you think Panther City flew out there right? I think they did. I think Panther City flew out there right away. I think Panther City's ready to go. And I don't want to talk myself into the plus 140 because we already got the Colorado on there. But I'm telling you, if there's $200 that could win this weekend, it's Colorado, it's Panther City / Fort Worth, Texas. Texas plays lacrosse, and it's great. We'll take a break again. And don't forget, Will Malcom coming up on this show, Daily Dive. I'm not always right, but when I am, it's about the NLL. I'm just saying. Remember when I told you guys a good 20 or so minutes ago that the Rock were without Tom Schreiber? Well, roster alert from Toronto Rock's Twitter team. The Rock have placed forward Tom Schreiber on the injured reserve list with an upper body injury. He will not play in tonight's playoff game. Moving to the active roster from the playoff roster is forward Josh DeWitt. Wow. Again, the news is confirmed. We had it first. You're welcome. So hopefully you got those bets in early. I'm telling you, they're right there for the taking. Going again. Josh DeWitt is coming in from the practice squad to the active roster. I don't know if he's going to be a playing time, though. There have been 26 players for the Rock to play this year, including 3 rookies. And actually, including 3 rookies, and one of them is, of course, Josh Dowick. Now, Josh Dowick in games this season at Philadelphia scored an assist. At Georgia, got 2 goals and an assist. Georgia Swarm, he had 3 assists. And at Albany, 2 goals. So this man is 22 years old. Born in the year 2000, by the way. 5'10", 175. Listen, I honestly am going to be shocked if the Rock don't win this game. Because this young man, Josh, is coming in the game. Again, 5'10", 175 is wouldn't be drafted to the NFL. But if you can make some things work with a stick, you're pretty awesome. And he has 9 points in 4 games. Hey, he's not bad. And again, his games this season, January 21st, February 10th and 18th, and March 25th. And that was, again, at Albany a little over a month, probably about a month and a half ago. But if you're the Rock, you have to be comfortable with that. Again, Tom Schreiber, for those wondering, not to kick the man when he's down here, but this season, of the players with like all these goals and shots and everything, Tom Schreiber, 18.8%. Don't shoot the messenger over here. I'm just telling you like I see it. The fact is, Tom Schreiber had a low shooting percentage this season. And the fact that you have Josh Dowick who can just come in there and fill the void a little bit, it's not a bad thing at all. Again, 4 goals, 5 assists in 9 games. It's no slouch whatsoever. That young man can play some lacrosse. So, again, that's fresh on NLStats.com. That young man can play. 22 years old, could have a big game. We could also see Latrell Harris, of course, who we interviewed yesterday on the show. You got Corey Smolin at 83 points, Dan Craig, 82. Dan Dawson, who's still alive at 41 years old. Just saw him in an LLL YouTube video talking about how he's still going to keep the gym up, keep the diet going. These guys work jobs, man. But, man, get well soon, Tom Schreiber, because Tom Schreiber, they're going to need you against Buffalo. And that's an interesting one. So, again, 7:30 or 7 p.m. tonight, Eastern time, 7:30 on ESPN Plus. You got to watch The Rock handle the Thunderbirds. Again, Thunderbirds were hot. I still think Rock could get a win here. I think Rock will get a win. Again, like Andy Tower said, Rock coming this way, Bandits coming this way. You're going to explode into each other. It's going to be great. I can't wait. Eastern Conference Finals. But, again, not to knock on, Connor Fields the best player, one of the best players in lacrosse, and, of course, Halifax Thunderbirds. Hey. Randy Stoss, you had your medicine when you beat up Jeremy Thompson. I'm not happy about that. I'm not having the Swarm. I'm still bitter from the Swarm losing. So, yeah. Again, Will Malcom will hopefully join us on today's show. Panther City at Calgary is tomorrow night. Calgary is favored by 1.5. Total set at 22.5. And Panther City a ho-hum plus 140. Not a bad deal. We're right back. Daily Dive. so much for tuning in to Daily Dive today. It's been a pleasure, of course. Got to speak to Amy Towers of the Chaos, and of course, helping grow the game with Lacrosse Draws as well. Check out lacrossedraws.com. Don't forget to fill out your bracket, Daily Dive Bracket Challenge. It's alive and well. And we'll see you guys on Monday to recap round one. My bets for today, let's give them out to you. How about them? We've got the over 22.5 as the Nighthawks will play the Bandits. I got Bandits to win that game. Toronto to win by more than 1.5 against Halifax, even with the news of Tom Schreiber being out, which we broke on this show today. I've got Mammoth to upset the Seals and Colorado plus 165 on that Mucho Dinero line. And, of course, Roughnecks will beat Panther City in a bloodbath, which will hit the under 22.5. It's been a great season, but we're not done yet. For everyone that comes to the show as a guest, everyone that supports the show on Daily Dive, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, even Facebook, and for those of you behind the scenes, I'm Karvelis saying have a great rest of your day. We'll try to reschedule Malcom, but trust me, there was time constraints that snuck in, so I do apologize for that if you were looking for that interview, but hey, don't worry. We're going to be here. We're going to be fine. And he will, I'm sure, will join us another time. So thanks so much for tuning in to Daily Dive. Enjoy the playoffs. Enjoy the single game elimination playoffs. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Bye.